It was a game that at halftime, like you said, you cracked the Tito's. It was easy to be stewing.
They were losing.
Can't kick it into the end zone, so they squib kick it, which I don't think that's a good alternative to kicking it in the end zone, but that's what they did. Jimmy Ward penalty, field goal from the Seahawks, and it feels like but the Niners just completely lose their cool here at halftime, and is this going to come back and bite them in this game? It didn't. It didn't.
It was pretty nuts they were losing at halftime.
Yeah.
Right? If I just told you all week long, and listen, I'm guilty as anyone, didn't take this game that seriously, they're losing at halftime, whether it be by a touchdown, 10 points, or 17-16, that was pretty nuts. They were up 10-0, and it felt like blowout city.
Yeah.
And then they were outscored, 17-6 in the second quarter. And like you said, I think that squib kick and what it ultimately led to, because it's not that crazy probably if Jimmy Ward just touches them. They're down at the 50. Maybe they throw a Hail Mary.
I think it was like 1 second.
You could argue even if they had timeout, so they would have called timeout and thrown a Hail Mary to put them in a position. That squib kick alone had Hightower vibes, didn't it?
I did. And, the reason I hated the squib kick, and I texted you this when it happened, is they got the ball what was it, the 45, the 40, the 45, somewhere in that range? Well, Gino can throw it. DK can go get it. I just hate giving them a 60-yard throw for DK. It turned out to, I guess in some ways, be worse. I don't know, but, man.
Totally agree. I mean, they were – the Seattle defense, the first couple drives looked like, is this serious? Because it kind of felt like one of those overmatched college opponents where, I don't think they have the speed. They don't have guys there. Holes are wide. Even for NFL standards, those holes felt really wide. Yeah. Christian bust the big run. Ayuk wide open. You're like, is this serious? Is this going to be a game? The quarterback got a little shaky. The 49ers defense got a little shaky. But to me, in that second half, when they score, they come out of half. To me, you're down 17-16, right? And it's like, okay, Purdy's been a little iffy. Not terrible, not like this is a joke, but no means the offensive player of the month.
Under 50% passing at halftime, 9-19.
Come down, huge drive, great 3rd and 7 to Debo. You go up 23-17.
Run the ball, John, on that drive. Run the hell out of the ball. 10 runs on 13 plays.
So you immediately get back the lead, 23-17. You're feeling pretty good. Then Seattle starts driving. And honestly, guy, I'm just doing the math because at that point in time, it was like 6 minutes left in the third quarter. It felt like this game was flying by. You go, listen, I've seen these games where you might only get 3 more possessions total. If they take a lead and the rain comes in, shit could get weird. And then the fumble happens. They get the ball back. They score. And to me, obviously – the game changed once the fumble happened and Bosa fell on it. And it felt like that when they fell on the fumble, but then to turn that immediately into points, and obviously they never looked back. They fucking rolled them. But up until that point, I mean, Seattle had everyone on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, yeah. And even that, I would say the other
D'Amico specifically. I mean, the Niners defense felt like shelved themselves.
I'm sure you were. I was getting texts from people who, the Niners have been on TV a lot, but still the playoffs bring even a lot more people to watch them that maybe casually watch them, but now are locked in or gambled on the game. I got a buddy who gambled on the game, picked the Niners to cover. He's texting me early in the third, I guess late in the second quarter, maybe. He's like, is the Niners interior always this soft? Their defensive line? What is going on? I'm like, bro, I've watched this same game 100 times. This is what it looks like sometimes. And, I'll say this for this defense. They consistently, in big moments, have made some plays. And sometimes it happens when they're in their own red zone. Now, what helped, too, was the false start. The Seahawks got the false start on the second down play. It was going to be 3rd and 5. It turns into 2nd down and 14.
No, it was third. It was 3rd and it was 2nd and it was 3rd. I kind of wrote it down funny. But yeah, it turned out to be 3rd and 14.
They threw it downfield to DK on the 2nd down, right?
Yeah.
Missed them. So then it's 3rd down.
3rd and 14. And that was a sack fumble.
And that was and Omena who got a hand in, and Bosa kind of offensive line luckily didn't see it, and Bosa fell on it. It was in that moment that I breathed semi-normally for the first time since they were up 10-0.
Totally agree. And you didn't know that the onslaught was coming, but they never looked back at that moment, and they destroyed them. But
you didn't know it was coming, but that is the recipe they've had in some games this year, right? Where it's like it is kind of nip and tuck, and then a moment happens, and then the avalanche comes. That was the one thing I felt okay about was that they were moving the ball and they were scoring. they were moving the ball and they were scoring. And once I saw them able to run finally and like commit to the run, and obviously, I mean, Purdy hit some big throws. We'll go through his game, but they committed to the run in that first drive of the second half, and that felt good.
Yeah. And then to me, once they got the ball back, you go up 31-7, then Lenore gets the pick, and it just snowball effect. And ultimately, Seattle, you know, their final record, if you factor in the playoffs, is going to be 9-9. They had a fantastic season. A fantastic season, though. Like their season to me, what it symbolized, ultimately big picture, macro, getting rid of Russell, the picks in the future. I don't know if you heard right before we hopped on. Did you hear the broadcast? It was like, you know, Gino has said that this is going to be a business decision. You know, he's not just going to do some discount for Seattle. It's like, Gino, if they want you back, it is by far the best situation for you, right? That situation is equipped with a running back who's sweet, offensive play caller. I know I guess they scored 23 because they scored at the end, but pretty clear Shane Waldron, like, is pretty good, right? He's of the McVay. He runs the Shanahan scheme. They ran they were doing it better than the Niners, that little play action dump off. You're like, God, no one's there. And then they kind of bit, and then they hit the second level with DK. It is a very conducive scheme. Like, Geno Smith was 25 of 35 for 2 touchdowns. You know, you can have success in this scheme. Now, if I was Seattle, I mean, big picture for the Niners, like, it does feel like they're the most equipped, assuming they have another really good draft to kind of be
McVay is
with them
back
for the next couple of years. McVay is Sean spent 3 days with his wife. It was like, see you guys Monday. It took Brady 40 days. It took Sean 2.5. Guy, 2.5 days.
Yeah.
2.5 days. I'm back. Is that just as simple as you got a huge raise, or?
No, I mean, we can spend some time. I watched him talk when he talked about this the other day, maybe it was Tuesday, and I just saw a guy who really didn't know what to do, was kind of torn. So,
well, I think
I wouldn't be, if you told me there was a story that came out that John Lynch told him, hey man, I've done the broadcasting thing. Like, it is not the same juice. And I think I saw somebody say, oh, I was talking to a buddy who was at the championship game. We talked to a Rams person there, and they were like, Sean does wear himself out. I wonder if it's like taking some time to just a few days to just kind of sleep. It kind of refreshed him a little bit.
Agreed. I think you felt it today. There was, I know he's old, but just there's something to Pete Carroll. It just kind of feels like you text me.
To fire him.
I think you text me during the game. He's underrated, and I think it's true. And same with Sean staying, because Arizona's going to be a joke, whatever they do. Like, it is important to me for just my love of this division. Like, I like having the bigger coaches, and losing Sean McVay for Raheem Morris would have impacted those 2 games, and still having Pete Carroll, knowing that their team's going to be competitive. Like, I enjoy, like, once this game got going and got kind of tight, I'm like, I don't mind this. You know, I'm the Seattle brand, and just Pete, and just even at the end, John Schneider on the sideline. Like, I like these characters in my life.
Yeah. Because you know what you're getting from them. At a bare minimum, you're getting a fight from a Pete Carroll team. Like, you're getting a fight.
One thing that Moose Johnson, or maybe the halftime guys, like the 17 of them in the Fox studio said, and it made me a little nervous at halftime. Actually, it might have been Jimmy Johnson. He's like, they have nothing to lose. I'm like, God, they're winning, and they got nothing to lose at halftime. I hope the Niners are, because you can kind of get tight at half. All of a sudden, you go, God damn. And they came out and they scored. And that, to me,
Niners got lose halftime.
Yeah.
By the way, you're running through all the coaches in the league, John. You didn't mention that Cliff bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. Bangkok has him now. That's the first thing the great line from The Hangover. So good luck to Cliff.
I did some self-reflection. If I was in his shoes, he's more willing to live. Like, if you were in those shoes, unlimited money, 5 years left. My one-way ticket probably is Hawaii. Like, I don't know if I'm going.
Yeah, Italy maybe for me. One of those Caribbean islands where people go.
The one where the houses are on the water.
Exactly. Give me one of those things where they fall out of the little hut right into the water.
I don't know if I'm willing to live. I might just go Hawaii. I kind of know what I'm getting. If I'm going to be there for a while.
Really doesn't want to be recognized.
That's true too. Yeah. Pete probably taking
wants to ride around a tuk-tuk. Isn't that what those little things are called? Tuk-tuk.
Oh yeah, on top of the elephant?
No, not on top of the elephant. Just getting dragged behind somebody's bike.
That's true.
Yeah, I thought, it was actual adversity. And that was one thing Daryl Johnston said during the game, too. Like, I could tell Moose has watched the Niners because he's like, all the adversity that Purdy's had, like, it's kind of, that was a good lesson, adversity, but it hasn't really been high-risk adversity. And he doesn't mean in his career. He just means in the individual games they've played this year. Like, the Raider game got sketchy, but they'd already wrapped up the division by then, I thought it was an interesting point. Musu, by the way, Alyssa made the point we're watching. She's like, is the guy that's talking right now the same guy with the white hair that we saw on camera? And I said, yeah, same guy. She's like, he sounds so young. I was like, Moose does sound really young. I enjoy Moose. He does sound young.
Didn't love his suit today, but
yeah, the hoodie. It's all right.
Yeah.
Al Michaels would be like, bro, what are you even bothering with the jacket for? Just wear the hoodie.
Even the jacket wasn't really my cup of tea, but listen, I respect Moose. He's come on our radio show back in the day, and he knows what a champion looks like. And he's right. Like, I mean, I obviously Purdy, but I even say the defense. I think ideally, if you're going to have a first-round game, if you would have just told me 41-23, like to get to this morning, you text me, you go, listen, the football god came into my dream. He looked me in the face. He said, the Niners are going to win 41-23. I would have been like, God, they probably wouldn't learn that much. Yeah. It's actually ideal where the first half was a disaster. You get to get on Purdy's ass, despite him having statistically at the end of the day, we'll get into him, but definitely the defense's ass. I mean, they were giving up touchdowns. Charvarius was kind of in some trouble. Greenlaw had a terrible angle on a play that led to an easy touchdown. Some of those weird wildcat plays were giving them problems. And like you said, there were plays just up the gut runs that is like, where are these guys making tackles that are usually there at the, and part of it is Kenneth Walker might just in 5 years be like, he was a top 2 running back for a 3-year stretch, but he was taking a couple guys for a ride after, like he was not going backwards.
Well, no, the first carry of the game, 9 yards. I went,
15 of 63 for 4.2. Like, I don't think does quite justice what I witnessed. Like, that guy's good.
Yeah.
God, he's big.
That's he's the kind of guy, right? If he played for Kyle and was playing with a lead in the second half, he'd easily end up with 28 carries.
Young fella can play.
Yeah.
Between him, yeah, I'd say between him and DK, it's hard. Like, are you like lighting up your DBs? I mean, when DK cares, like who's really stopping him? I mean, then at the end of the day, Ward's a really good player, but not fucking Revis or Deion Sanders. Like if DK's on, he's going to win more often than not against your best, right?
I thought early Diamador Lenore was actually playing well. I mean, DK had some plays on him, but Lenore was right there with him. And then Mooney, made the play on that 2nd and 14 in the end zone where he kind of jumps. He's done this a couple times where he jumps. It feels like he jumped early, but he got a piece. But then the ball was just hanging there. And I thought, well, is DK still going to make a play on this thing? Yeah, I mean, I actually think there's something to be said for it feels kind of good to beat a team when they have a guy go off like DK because look at the rest of the playoffs. Like, you're probably going to you're going to have to beat teams who have great, Justin Jefferson. Thank God the AFC as a whole. You could get anybody in the AFC if you got to the Super Bowl and they'd have a guy. A.J. Brown. It's just,
yeah,
you're going to have to play really good receivers. So that's going to be part of the deal here.
Kenny Galladay. I don't even think he plays. But if the Giants win, you don't play them. So, if the Giants win, that means you probably get CeeDee Lamb or Mike Evans.
Oh, if the Giants beat the Vikings. Got it. Yep.
So you're either getting Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, or CeeDee Lamb. And I would probably put CeeDee Lamb third on that.
Mike Evans, yeah. Forgot about
I saw he had 3 touchdowns going down the sideline. Yeah. I wouldn't just write them off as losers.
I thought the crowd looked pretty good. Hard to tell. Rainy.
Felt good, yeah.
Did you tell me that the Glazer said they flew down, that Jed flew the Seahawks grounds crew guy down?
Yeah, I had I never, and I'm not acting like I'm too good for it. I just am doing other shit. It comes up on you fast. I don't know if people typically watch that 9 to 10 Fox show. I did
today for the first time.
That's what I'm saying. I watched it today for the first time, and Glazer came on, and it feels like during the season he does inactives and actives. Like, bro, I got Twitter. And listen, I like Jay, but he did drop that the 49ers flew in Seattle's groundskeeper, which makes sense because they were supposed to get the bomb cyclone.
Well, they flew him in before probably the Seahawks even came down.
I would guess they flew him in a couple days ago to help with the mitigation of the turf. But Seattle, that stadium's turf, correct?
Yeah,
it's not grass.
Right.
So like, what's he
on their practice field?
Yeah, it's like what? Hell, John's like, this guy dominates our practice field.
Maybe does the Mariners too? I don't know.
I don't know.
There's stadiums nearby.
What if he's like, hey, Jed, man, it's just turf, bro.
What if
give me an office?
Yeah. Tell him you're in charge of the grass. Yeah. Tell him you're in charge of the grass.